Thank you everyone for being here with us at Teams Fest today. So this session is about Teams and Power Automate better together. So we'll have around 15 minutes theory where we are going to go through all the triggers and actions that you can do in Power Automate for Teams. And then we will have around 20 or 25 minutes with live demo. So I will show you everything we have just talked about before. I will introduce myself first. I'm Théophile Chin-Nin. I'm from France, as you can hear. I am a Microsoft 365 architect for Abalon, which is a small company, pure Microsoft 365 specialized. I am also a member of the AOS community, which is a community created by French people about Microsoft 365. And we organize conferences in France, but everywhere in the world, Southeast Asia, Africa, Oceania, and so on. I have two kinds of expertise. The first one is everything related to teamwork, modern workplace, such as Teams and SharePoint. But I also work on everything related to the Power Platform, especially Power Apps and Power Automate. It's been around 10 years I'm working on Microsoft technology, and I've opened a blog which I call Teamwork and Low Code at tchinin.com. So you can follow me on Twitter and on LinkedIn and on this blog. So we are going to start right over with no further introduction, going deep into our subject, which is Teams and Power Automate. The first thing I want to talk about is the Teams connection. It's a key concept in the Power Platform. So as you know, the Power Platform can connect to several services. One of them is Teams, and everything we are going to do in the Power Platform in Power Automate are going to use this Team connector. And we use the connector by using what we call the connection. The connection represents the identity that is going to perform all the action in our Power Automate flow. So here in the screenshot, you can see that I've used an action called create a channel to create a channel into one of my teams. And we can see that the connection is theophile.msexchange.fr. That means that this is my identity that is going to create the channel. There is no impersonification. There is no release. It's my connection that is going to do the job. All the connection used in Power Automate depends on the trigger, on what is going to start your flow. All automated flow are flows that starts based on an event, such as a new item in SharePoint or a new an update of a record in the command data service, or a new message posted in some Teams channel, for example. So based on an event, all the connections that are going to be used are defined in the flow design. All right, so you can use, for example, a service account or a generic account to perform operation in automated flow. For instant flow, you have two solutions. The first one is to use the user that is triggering the flow's connection. Instant flow can be, for example, a button in a Power Apps. It can be for a selected message in Teams. It can be for a selected items or file in SharePoint. So a user will start the flow manually. So you can use either the user's connection, or you can use pre-configured connection in the flow design. All right. What is really important to understand here is that the connection that is going to perform the action in Teams, such as posted message or reply to a message or something, needs to be part of the team. there is no way to use out-of-the-box Teams action in Power Automate with an account that is not part of the team. So we are now going through the triggers that we have in the Teams connector for Power Automate. We have basically 5 triggers, and there are 4 of them that are for automated flow. So flow starting based on an event, like a new channel message added, or when the connection used for the trigger is mentioned in the channel message, or when a new team member is added or removed. And you have one instant flow for a selected message, meaning that users are going to be able to start a flow for a specific message in team that they're selecting. In my opinion, the for a selected message is a very cool one, because you can have several use cases around this one. And honestly, I don't use much the others, but for example, you can add a welcome message for a new team member you just add it to your team. Or I had this one for one of my customer. I've seen that the member of a team, they do not really respect Teams good practices, such as adding a title to their team message. And I can create a flow, for example, for each new message added to a channel. If the message doesn't contain a title, it can send a message to the message creator to say to him, you haven't respected our good practices. Please, the next time, think about adding a title to your message. I will jump to all the action available in the Teams connector for Power Automate. I have sorted them in several sections. The first one is everything related to the team structure. So for example, how do I get the list of the teams the connection is part of? How do I get details on the team? How do I create a team? This is everything related to the team structure itself. And you don't have the same output for each action. The list teams will get you some teams detail, but not very, very detailed. You will just have, for example, the classification, which is an advanced detail about the team that you don't have on the other action. If you want to have a lot of details about the teams and its configuration, such as guest settings, member settings, fun settings like meme and GIF and so on, you can use the get a team action. And here is a pretty new one, which is create a team. So now you have the ability to create a team directly from a Power Automate. And you can specify here the name, the description, and visibility. You don't have really advanced configuration for the team you are created, such as classification or such as guest settings and so on. But I guess this will come later on as they are improving the connectors every month. Then you have a few actions related to the channel. You can create channels, and you have the opportunity to create a channel hidden by default for other users or shown by default for everyone. And you can list the channel of a Teams and get all the channel detail. One of the missing point here is that you cannot create private channel, but once again, it will probably come later. And then you can add members to a team. And this is a pretty good one. Actually, you can say that, for example, everyone in your team will need to join, I don't know, the cross teams project or something like this. So you can combine one trigger with an action. For example, when a team member is added to your main team, then this guy should be added to some more team. So you can make him a member or an owner of some of the teams. Then you have one action about Teams meeting. This one is pretty new. It gives you the opportunity to create Teams meeting directly within Flow, so to have automatically created meetings, and it's a pretty good one with a lot of configuration. What you have to know about this one is that it's not going to create a Teams meeting inside a team calendar, inside an office group calendar. It will use the calendar of the connection in your team. So for example, in my previous example, I was the one running the flow with my own connection. Then if I use this action, the meeting is going to be stored on my personal agendas calendar, and I will be able to create a meeting and to invite people, to set required and optional attendees, the location, importance, recurrence, everything, really everything you have in the meeting organizer in Outlook. And you will have the link for the Teams meeting inside the body, so you will be able to parse it later on and to store it somewhere or something. But this action is pretty good actually. Now, in my opinion, the most important part of Teams and Power Automate better together is everything related to the messages, and actually all the things related to the adaptive cards. So I guess everyone know what is a message into team. It's someone sending a message, or someone sending a rich text message. But you have also in Teams other kind of message, which are adaptive cards. My definition of adaptive card, and this is my own definition, it's adaptive cards are portable interactive notification. The word card can be translated into interactive notification, meaning that it's going to bring information to some user or to some channels, and it will also be an interactive notification, meaning that within the notification itself, you will be able to collect information and to ask user to click on button, or fill in text box, select a date in a date picker, make choices in drop-down list, etc. And the word adaptive can be translated as portable, meaning that your adaptive card is going to be defined in JSON, and this JSON will be understood by several supports, such as Teams chats, such as Windows Timeline, for example, or such as Outlook. You actually already use adaptive card every week, maybe. All Microsoft's notification, such as you have got a message in Teams, all these automatic notification you get from Teams are actually adaptive cards. It's what we call Outlook actionable message in Outlook. But maybe you have seen this in Outlook. You are able to answer directly a team chat, or to click on a button to open directly the related chat. This is an interactive notification you get from Microsoft. All right, and with Power Automate, we are going to be able to create our own adaptive card and to send it over Teams, either in Teams chats directly to users, or in Teams channel, so we can ask questions and collect information from an entire team. So the Teams message can be chats, as I said, and everything you will send by chat, meaning to a specific user, not to a group of users. You cannot send chat to a group of users. You can only send chat to a specific users, will be sent with the flow bot. So your user will receive a message in his chat tab coming from the flow bot, and you have this option. You can post a choice of options to a user. So the user will receive an adaptive card. You can see that in the adaptive cards, I have here the name of the connection used to send the adaptive card, and the user will have some text and will have several buttons to specify his choice, and then you will be able to click submit, and our Power Automate flow will be able to know which button has been clicked and use this information, I don't know, in some SharePoint item or command data service or anything. All right, so this is the choice option for a user. You can also post an adaptive card to a team user and wait for the response. So you will build yourself the adaptive card with all the button you want, all the information you want, all the form option you want, such as text input, date picker, choices through drop-down list, etc. And your flow will wait the user to click on submit in order to retrieve all the information to the flow and make the flow move on the next action with all the information submitted by the user, so you can use it right after. So this is clearly a new way of collecting information from the user directly in some notification. If you want to ask information about if you want to get information from a specific user, then you can use this action. And the last one is the sorry, not the last one, just the one before. You can send your own adaptive card to a user, so you can send a customized notification with some images or some information you can get back from another system to a user without waiting for him to answer anything, just to provide him information, and you can just send a message. And here you will see that even the message is an adaptive card. There is no way to just send a message as your connection identity, just as me, Théophile Chin-Nin, sending a message to another user. You will only be able to send the message through Flowbot, and the Flowbot only send adaptive card every time. All right, so this is all for the chat message. Then you have everything related to the channel message, and this is, in my opinion, what is most important, because most of the time I want to provide information to a role, to a team, not to an individual. So channel message are, in my opinion, the way to go using adaptive cards. There is two action actually different than before. You will be able to send message and to reply to message with the identity of your connection. So for example, here I use my connection Théophile, and I can send message and reply to all the messages just as if I did it myself in the Teams client. So this is for the two first action. Then you can send a message as the Flowbot to a channel, the same as sending a message from the Flowbot as a user. So you will just put your message, and this is not particularly formatted. You just put your message. Then you will be able to send your own adaptive card in order to organize content or having icons or things like this. And the last one is sending an adaptive card and wait for a response. So here I can see that I can send a message, let's say, for example, to my IT department. A new arrival is coming next week. Here is the first name, here is the last name. Please create the account and provide here the email address that will be created for the account, and submit it once it's done, so we can use the email address in some other systems or for other departments. So here is definitely a new way to build your business processes around Teams, and we don't have what we had before, meaning, for example, an email notification saying that we have something to do with a link to a formula in some info path or Power Apps form. We can do directly the information capture and the notification within the same system. The next theory part I want to talk to you about is extensibility. We will be able to use a connector named incoming webhook to send notification to a channel. And with this method, my user sending, well, my HTTP request in Power Automate will, there's no need to be part of everything will go through the connector. So I can send messages, adaptive cards to teams I'm not within if I got the right incoming webhook for a specific channel. And then we have Graph API. The Graph API, the most powerful API for Microsoft 365 products. We are going to be able to use it through Power Automate and the HTTP connector that will request a premium license. But we are going to be able to go really deeper into the Teams configuration, for example, or the Office group configuration. And we will be able to configure tabs in Teams that is not available yet on the out-of-the-box connector. The other things is using Graph API. You will be able to have two different permission model, application permission and delegated permission. Delegated permission means that a service account needs to be part of a team to perform action as if it's a user that is doing it. But application permission means that you don't have to get your service account part of a team to perform action. You just configure permission on your at the tenant level, and you will be able to perform operation in Teams. I will show you that a bit later. In Teams, we do have an application Power Automate, which provide the chat with the Flowbot. So all your communication with the Flowbot will be centralized here, where you can design your own flow directly in Teams, where you can have all your approvals, and you can even see your business process flows. All right, let's get our hands on. The first demo will be about for a selected message trigger. So I will show you how it works. Let's say, for example, that I send a new message in my Teams channel. I have sent a proposal to the customer. All right. What we are able to do is click on more action, and you will see here the flow you can start. So here I have my Flow Teams first task demo. And once I click on it, it displays for me an adaptive card because my flow needs input. And here I can, for example, for this specific message, create a planner task and assign that planner task. So here is a proposal follow-up task. The short name is follow-up proposal for this customer. Who will need to do this so I can assign my task and set up a due date. Then I click submit, my flow starts, and I will see that in my planner, I will have a new task assigned to me with the due date in the correct bucket. So let me show you how the flow is made. I have used for a selected message trigger. I have set up an adaptive card directly within Power Automate in the Power Automate adaptive card designer, where I can set everything I want. Here I do have for the category the IDs of my buckets. I can have right here the email for each person I can assign to. And then I can just go on with everything, every action that I can make with Power Automate. All the 400 connectors available here can have inputs that are coming from a message. So you can see here that I will use all the output of my adaptive card to set up the task. All right. Let's move on to another way to trigger a flow within team. So, as I said, there is this flow or Power Automate application in Teams. And you have here the flow bot that can do actions for you. You can see here all your flows, obviously, but in the chat, I can ask the flow bot to list my flows. It will answer that the flow bot is able to start himself one of these flow. I will just have to type run flow and the number right here. So I have a scenario where, for example, we are going to plan our going back at work after the COVID crisis, and I have limited place at the office, and I want people to know when I am going to the office. So I do have here a Teams presence on site Microsoft list where I have the name of the people and the presence date. And I do have here, for better communication, a message where people are going to answer that they're going to be here tomorrow. Everything will be centralized in answers, in replies of this message. So I can go to my flow application. I can see that right here I should have a Teams Fest. All right, the Teams Fest, I'll be here tomorrow demo. So I can just now say run flow 13. And the application said that, all right, everything is started. So if I go back to my Teams live channel, I can see that I have posted a message on my own because the flow is an instant flow that is using the connection of the people who just click on the button. And I can see that the item has been added right in the presence list. What you have to know is that that scenario is pretty limited. You cannot run flows with some inputs. So this is a basic scenario where you don't have to collect any input and you just want to automatize actions. For example, sending a message to a channel and create an item list. Right, so the third demo is a little bit more interesting, I would say. Let's say that I do want to manage the area. I will demo here how the adaptive cards can support your business processes to collect information. So let's say that I have this list where I can put in information about a newcomer. So let's say that the last name is, I don't know, let's say Hent. The first name is Ethan. And the manager is going to be Theo. All right. I save my flow. And I can have a automated flow that is going to start. All right. Tasks, business process. All right. And as soon as my flow will start, I will receive a notification as the new arrival manager. So I'll just wait the trigger to start. And as you can see, as soon as the trigger started 3 seconds ago, I already received my flow notification. So I can go here, and as the manager, the flow asks me if Ethan Hunt needs a professional smartphone. I will say yes and submit. Wonderful. I got the information that Ethan Hunt is coming. I send the information that he will need a phone, and now my flow is going to send a message to my IT department saying that someone is coming. I just see that I had a bug right here. Anyway, where I will be able to say, okay, I have created the account. Here is the email that the guy will have. Here is the phone number, and you will be able to come at the IT department to pick up his computer and his phone at the following date. And I will click submit, and then I have done my job. Then the manager is notified that the IT department has done his job. Ethan Hunt, the account is created, the hardware is being prepared. You can come on, pick everything on the 12th. Then one thing that is really interesting with that it gives you the opportunity to interact directly with Teams. So here I can have this button, open detail, and I have put in my adaptive card configuration that if this button is clicked, it will redirect the user within his Teams client directly to the Arrival application in a tab of this channel. All right, so I can interact. I can make this button open file directly in SharePoint. I can make this button open file directly in Teams. I can make it redirect to any business application I would have in Power Apps within Teams. I can do deep linking, extra. All right. So I will go back to my flow. And as you can see, this is a very basic flow where everything I used is right here. So post the message, update the item once the phone, the information about the phone is submitted. And here I do have my adaptive card, which is JSON. All right. If I go to adaptivecard.io on the designer, I can put my adaptive card right here, and I can have a designer, WYSIWYG designer, where I can put everything I want to be in my adaptive card and all the configuration right here, and then copy paste the JSON. The Power Automate designer has there is an experimental designer actually in Power Automate where you can have the adaptive card designer directly within Power Automate designer. But actually, there's a bug right now, and we cannot really use it. It's been working for months now, but just past week we had a bug where we cannot provide dynamic information. So just waiting this to be resolved and come to GA, generally available, and then it's going to be really easy to configure all your adaptive card directly within the flow designer, the Power Automate designer, exactly the same way you do have that designer right here. Okay, so I still have 5 minutes, I guess. So I will show you 2 more demos about extensibility. As much as I love the Teams connector for Microsoft Power Automate, it's pretty limited. There are a lot of actions that are still in preview, meaning that they can stop working sometimes. But you do have option using Graph API. All right. This demo is all about using Graph API to create tabs directly into a Teams channel. All right. So I will create, well, let me check. Yeah, so I will run the flow. We will see what it does, and then we are going to just going through the action to understand how it works. So I will provide, so this flow will create a new channel and configure a planner tab and a SharePoint page tab directly into the created channel. So I will put my channel name, run the flow, and then it starts. So First thing, I initialize a bunch of variable, classic Power Automate. Then, as I'm going to call the Graph API, I need to use Azure AD application to perform operation on the Graph API. All right. So I do have some app secret and a user password for delegated scenario to retrieve, and then I do it securely using Azure Key Vault. Once I got all the credentials in my flows, I can use some action, HTTP action, which are premium action, to get access token to perform action on the Graph API. Then I just use the out-of-the-box create a channel action for Microsoft Power Automate. So you can see here that it has created my channel. Then I need to create a new planner. All right, so I will use this. HTTP call to the Graph API to create a channel for this office group, which is the office group of my team. Once the channel is created, I want to use some planner configuration with Graph API to duplicate some tasks and bucket, and then I will have here two action that will give me the opportunity to create some tasks, some tabs. And you will see that right here I do have a new hidden channel, and the tabs have been created. So I have here my SharePoint page, and I have here all my tasks. All right, and you can see that my tasks and buckets have been duplicated. All right. So you can go through the documentation of Graph API to see what is available to create a new tab. This is a really useful thing for any team's governance and so on. You can have a look on Laura Kokarinen blogs that detail everything, very fine and very good explanation about how to create tabs with the Graph API. All right. The last demo is really quick. I will use the incoming webhook connector. So here I can create a connector for this channel. I can select the incoming webhook connector. Up Teams first. I will leave that image, click on create. It will generate the webhook link, and then I can go to my flow, which is this one. I will just change the URL I call and send my adaptive card as an application to my channel. Right? So right here, I should have a new notification submitted as the Teams first application. So you can configure third-party tools to send notification to your team, or you can configure flows to create that kind of notification. In Teams, they are not part of. In Teams, you don't have a technical user part of. All right. The drawback of this is that it can be configured automatically. So you will have to create your connection to the incoming webhook connector manually, retrieve the URL generated by the system, and then put it into your Power Automate action, HTTP action. All right, it's 3:40. I think this is pretty much it.
We do have some questions for you just to finish off the hour. Yeah. Let's start here. So what version of adaptive cards is supported with Teams?
Actually, I don't have the latest version in mind, but I'm pretty sure we can find it very quickly on the online documentation. My flows are using the 1.2 version, but I don't know if there are some more advanced versions supported at the moment.
I use 1.2 myself. I'll just put in the reference to adaptive cards. There we are. Okay. Is there an easy way to store the bot conversations over adaptive cards automatically for each user and then to resume them if the session is terminated and then re-established later, either consciously or because of an internet interruption?
Actually, when you send, well, there is a lot of thing about this. The first one is the flow limit of 30 days. So, for example, if you send a message and you wait for a response of these adaptive cards and it goes over 30 days, you will lose your adaptive card. And there is no way, as I am now, to store the notification and just resume them. What you can do is every time you send a notification through adaptive card to a user, you can store it, let's say, in some common data service database or in SharePoint list or something. And if your action in flow is timed out, then you can start, for example, another flow, or you can send back the same notification. That can be, I would say, a manual system to resume notification to users or to channel actually, and to overwrite, let's say, this can be a workaround for the 30 days flow limitation in some case where your business processes can take more than 30 days.
Okay, great answer. Do we have any more questions for the speaker, or is there anybody who wants to put their hand up and come off mute at all and have a conversation? It's not always easy. I know we've got a lot of sessions on today, but if you do have something you'd like to ask, please do. Otherwise, do you have some ways that people can get in touch with you, Theo?
Yeah, absolutely. You can reach me on LinkedIn. You can reach me on this team. I guess you can just put some message on the conference, and I will try to respond it. Otherwise, I will give you my LinkedIn link, so you can reach me on LinkedIn. And
okay, we've got another question.
I will answer everything.
So we have generate a chat ID and share. Oh, I think it's a solution, and share it with user. Store the chat ID and conversation in the CDS or SP list. Retrieve it if the user is interrupted on providing the chat ID. I think that's similar to how you answered the question.
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of thank yous and a lot of great sessions. So
thank you. Thank you very much, Sharon.
So that was a superb session. I mean, many things demoed, which is always great to see. So thank you so much for that. If anybody would like to, please feedback to us. I've put the link in the chat there. It's the same form for every session. So if you've already given us feedback once today, please do pop back and give us some feedback on this individual session. It's great for the speakers to get feedback on what you would like to see, what you loved about the session, you know, what else we could do. And it would be great for the Teams Fest organisers to understand what makes a great session for you as well. So please do give us some feedback, as well as all these lovely comments you're putting in the chat. I hope you're seeing these, Theo, saying what a great session it was. So thank you so much for coming along and being a speaker. Thank you everybody for attending. We've got about 16 minutes before the next session, which will be the rather lovely Reza Durrani, who's going to be talking about Power Apps integration with Microsoft Teams. So we will stay here for a little while, if that's okay with you, Theo, and just see if there are any more questions to answer. But other than that, we'll take a short break before the next session.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone.